Hello, my name is Brian King. I'm head of school at Milwaukee Jewish Day School, and this is my moment of Torah. In this week's Torah portion, Mikeitz, we find Yosef in prison, still. In fact, 2 years have passed since the last Torah portion, and he's still sitting in prison. But it's in this portion that he finds his way out. He is summoned, because he's, at this point, got a bit of a reputation for being a dream interpreter. He's summoned to help Pharaoh interpret his dream. The famous dream where Pharaoh's standing by a river and 7 fat cattle come out of the river, and then 7 lean cattle come out after and eat the fat cattle. And then Pharaoh wakes up in a bit of a panic and goes back to sleep, and he has a similar dream. And nobody in Egypt can figure out what this means. And so Joseph is summoned, and he interprets the dream. And of course, this is he tells Pharaoh that there will be 7 fat, plentiful years for plenty of harvest, plenty of grain, followed by 7 very lean years of famine. Pharaoh loves this interpretation. He gets it immediately. And this is Yosef's ticket out of jail. And Yosef finds himself, it's like a worst to first story. He goes from being in jail to elevated all the way to the viceroy of Egypt. He's like Pharaoh's right-hand man, like a prime minister. I actually want to pause now at this point in the story, and I want to talk about what I think are some of the great lessons that we can learn from this moment of Torah. I think that portion Mikeitz, Parshat Mikeitz, is about endurance. I think that this is a great lesson for adults and for children about the concept of endurance, about spiritual endurance, about intellectual endurance, about physical endurance. And Yosef himself becomes a model of endurance. We look back at Yosef's life, and he was born and becomes, he's the 11th son of Jacob, but he becomes the favorite, and he's given this coat of many colors, and he doesn't really handle this particularly well, and he's conceited, and he rubs it in his brother's faces, and obviously that's what ends up landing him in Egypt and in jail. But he ends up paying a very heavy price for this. He stays in jail for years, certainly out of proportion to how he was acting as a younger child. And but while he's in jail, he's a model of endurance. He doesn't despair. He doesn't lose faith. He doesn't throw a pity party. He just keeps at it. He has a strong mind, a strong spirit, and a strong body while he is enduring circumstances that most of us, many of us, pretty much all of us would never have to endure. The other piece of this, we can go a little bit deeper, and we can take the dream that Yosef interprets, Pharaoh's dream, and use that as a way to explore the concept of endurance even deeper. In that dream, Pharaoh learns that there are going to be 7 plentiful years, and then there are going to be 7 years of famine. Yosef says, you know that there are going to be these 7 great years with plenty. There are 7 years where there isn't going to be any endurance necessary. You're not going to have to get by and figure out how to make the food last. But be careful, because you know that after that there's 7 years where there will be famine. So you have to figure out how to plan. You have to figure out how to put away food. You have to plan for the future. In effect, force some level of endurance even when it doesn't seem like it's necessary. So this portion and Yosef's interpretation of the dream helps us answer the question, what happens when times are so good that we don't have to endure much of anything? And the answer is, we always have to remember that times could change, and we always have to be planning. And the wise among us will see that we need a plan, no matter what, even when times are great. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this moment of Torah, and Shabbat Shalom.